Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You've seen the ultra-large organisation from Boeing, and now you're going to see the ultra-small organisation, Diamond Hard Surfaces. So what I hope to do is to give you some background about my experience and some helpful tips with regard to the defence industry. But I'll begin with talking a little bit about Diamond Hard Surfaces. We're a micro SME company which was founded in 2005. Backed by a venture capital organisation called Oxford Technology Management, who back early stage startup companies, and basically we provide a coating, and the coating technology provides a very hard, lubricious, conformal surface to all sorts of different applications. It was originally developed for space, and the process was patented at the end of 2008, and then we started to commercialise the process, and we got our first production customers in January 2008, and then we set up our manufacturing process and facility in Toaster in 2009 and established it really in 2010. So we do have ISO 9000 and ISO 14000 standards. We don't have AS 9100 because we haven't found that we needed it yet. But we're doing production and development of our coating technology and application to all sorts of different substrates. Defence is one of the industries which we focus on. It's not our primary focus, and the reason for that is, as one of the other speakers has alluded to, the time to entry to the market can be quite long. So the rewards in aerospace and defence are good, and they last for a very long time. But if you're working on a new project, you can sometimes be working for 5, easily 10 years before you start to get any payback on the project. And when you're starting developing an early stage technology company, you need to prove that you can your technology has some commercial worth. So we are operating in defence, but primarily we're operating in the chemical processing market and the oil and gas sector, and we're coating things from sensors all the way through to drill heads. We are applying our processes at ultra low temperature, around 130 degrees centigrade, which means we can apply it to a wide variety of substrates. It's got excellent adhesion to the substrate. It can go thicker than other coatings, and you don't need any pre or post processing. It's also extremely low friction, which makes it interesting for low carbon environments and reduction of friction in various applications. The defence market is a huge market. It's $17 million, which is a 17 billion US billions of dollars worldwide, and by far the largest market in that, or the biggest player, is the US, and the UK is the fourth biggest player, but there's quite a lot of players playing in that marketplace. So you need to understand what the defence marketplace is looking like and where you're going to play in that particular market. Are you just going to play in the UK, or are you going to go overseas and look at other geographies? And sometimes other geographies are can be more rapid at adopting new technologies, for example. Also, I'm going to talk briefly about the market structure, understanding who your key decision makers are, and the regulations and the type of support that and the places you can go for support. So the first thing is understanding the supply chain. The supply chain is basically in different tiers. If you're a very small SME company, then you're probably not working directly with the prime contractors, who are the people who are the systems integrators, people like Boeing, Thales, etc., bringing together a number of component suppliers, a number of different contractors to put together a final piece of equipment which is delivered to the end user, which might be the MOD or the Department of Defence. We're somewhere down 3 or 4 or even 5, although we get to play with some of the tier 2 suppliers generally, because they're the people who are looking at enhancing the performance of their applications. You need to also understand the regulations involved, particularly if you're exporting. There are very strict export license regulations, and in particular in doing business with the US. One of the speakers mentioned your IP rights, and you have to be careful in protecting your IP rights, particularly in doing business with the US, because the Department of Defense can acquire your IP if they consider it of strategic national importance for their particular marketplace. So protecting your IP is always very important, particularly if you have a business who has differentiated themselves significantly from other players in the marketplace. Then, of course, there's the quality standards, and we've had some of the speakers discussing quality standards and understanding the specs which might apply to your particular market area or the area that you're going to attack. As far as sources of support are concerned, the ADS, which was formerly the SBAC but now integrates defence as well. The UKTI, Harold is here today to talk about UKTI and their support in helping you get into new export markets, and we've had some support from them in terms of understanding what the markets are like, understanding where the players are. They've disseminated to Diamond Hard Surfaces in the past very useful information about new programs that are coming up. So you need to really understand where your position in the supply chain and who your customers are and who you're actually selling to, because for us we're selling to component suppliers, but if you're selling armoured jackets, you might be selling directly to the Ministry of Defence. There's also support organisations such as the Midlands Aerospace Alliance or the Northern Defence Industries, who are originally started, or at least the MAA started, primarily focusing on aerospace, but they are very supportive in helping companies to diversify, because it's always good to have a diverse portfolio of markets that you're working in to iron out any peaks and troughs in market demand in particular markets. We also, I think, mentioned the Motor Industry Association, who are very active in assisting companies in diversifying into new market areas, including defence. In terms of exhibitions, you can get a good feel for the marketplace by visiting various exhibitions, particularly in relation to defence. Eurosatory, which is held in Paris every 2 years, and DSEI, which alternates with Eurosatory in the UK, are very good, give very good indications of the kind of players who are working in the defence industry. You will often find that they are also working in other sectors, so household names or people that you will be aware of from other industry sectors will be present there. There's also a UAS show, which is about UAVs, because UAV has become a big marketplace, and various other shows, including Paris and the Farnborough Air Show. And there's a whole host of other specialist exhibitions and conferences which you could attend if you're particularly related to security or any other sort of market sector. In the defence industry, we're involved in working, as I mentioned, to enhance a variety of different applications, sensors for flying platforms, improving the infrared transparency and aware of infrared windows for land-based and airborne aircraft. But in this particular instance, our customer was a customer who manufactures ball valves for submarines and other types of applications, and they came to us. Their story was that their German customer had a fleet of submarines, and their primary contact person had changed and decided that the ball valves and actuators had to work to their maximum performance. And the customer had realised that with these 232 ball valves on this submarine, they weren't operating to their maximum performance, and had decided that they needed to replace all the actuators on the submarine in order to give them enough power to operate the ball valves to their maximum performance. So they were this was a huge cost to them, and they were obviously very embarrassed, and they were looking for a solution. They came to us, and asked us what we could do, and we proposed a solution to reduce the friction on the ball valves by using our coating. And we managed to reduce the friction on the ball valves by 50%, which meant that they no longer had to replace the actuators and saved millions of pounds of expense. Additionally, the lifetime of the application was prolonged, and that project turned around relatively quickly, and it was because the end user had a problem to solve. And if you can get into the situation, or you find out situations where customers have a problem to solve, then the defence market can be a very good market for you, and you can get in relatively quickly. If you are pursuing a long-term program, then the time to entry can be much longer and take you a lot longer, but then you might have a very long gestation period and a very long repeat life cycle of products in that particular market, particularly if you have components which are refurbished throughout the life cycle of the vehicle or the aircraft. So that's my very quick take on the defence market. I think that's just a summary of the benefits of diamond hard surfaces.